There is only one thing in the world worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about. So said Oscar Wilde in The Picture of Dorian Gray. And whilst that may be true for the Damien Hirsts and Tracy Emons of this world, most people would disagree that there's no such thing as bad publicity. Big brands are increasingly aware of the power of word of mouth, particularly in the digital age, where anybody with internet access can share their opinions, can make their views known across a range of forums, and a single negative comment could go viral in no time at all. So perhaps it's not surprising that a lot of big companies now employ teams of people to monitor Twitter, for example, to respond to negative comments and moans, and to nip negative publicity in the bud. But what about positive recommendation? It's easy enough to pay for a celebrity to say nice things about you, but most brands would kill for grassroots endorsement, for people to say great things about your brand to their friends, family, colleagues, or random strangers at dinner parties. But it tends to be assumed, in this country at least, that people are more likely to moan than to say something positive, and that people will wait before giving you an opinion. None of this bodes particularly well for a brand hoping to harness the power of positive recommendation.
Every day I don't walk around and say, oh, my fridge worked today. But if it broke, I would moan.
I wouldn't ring someone up and go, oh, I went to this pub last night, it was amazing, you should go. It just wouldn't, happen. I'd say pretty much every negative experience that's ever happened to me, I'm going to tell someone about.
Why is that?
I don't know, maybe I'm a bit of a moaner.
I myself don't like to give advice unless I'm asked. So I suppose my friends and my family listen to my advice more because I very rarely give it.
There are some exceptions to this. Marmite has been trading on word of mouth for some time now. On the one hand, embracing and almost reveling in the fact that some people hate it, and on the other, roping in advocates to promote the brand. Last year, they released a special edition extra strong version of the product, and rather than doing a traditional advertising campaign, they put samples of it into the hands of hardcore fans, who then spread the word using social media networks and beyond. This is all very well for an iconic consumer brand like Marmite, I hear you say. But what about other categories? What about the utility companies, financial organisations, supermarkets? Are they doomed to a life of minimising negative publicity rather than hoping that satisfied customers are going to say great things about them? A recent ICM survey paints a surprisingly encouraging picture. We asked people to think back over the past couple of months and tell us about the things they'd actually recommended, as well as the products, services and companies that they'd advised people against using. And the surprising finding is that 2/3 of us have recommended at least one thing, and only a third had advised against. Top of the list of recommendations are retailers, such as supermarkets, technology products, such as mobile phones, and services, like plumbers and taxi firms. Retailers and technology products are also top of the list of anti-recommendations, for want of a better word, but in both those cases, the positive outweigh the negative by far. We're also interested in the circumstances of these recommendations. And again, we were surprised to find that people are just as likely to give their views without being asked as they were to wait until they were asked. So all in all, this idea of Britain as a nation of moaners may not be as accurate as we'd like to think.
Recently, I was talking about broadband with some friends and some family, in fact, and they were discussing which broadband was the best. I volunteered that I actually use O2, and I did highly recommend them.
I dropped my camera, so I wrote away to the company, got a response back within 2 days, they sent me a new camera within a week, and absolutely no problem, it was all under guarantee. I talked with all my friends about what I happened, the experience I had. I even wrote on my Facebook, used my Facebook, so I've just got a new camera.
But perhaps this is not so surprising. There is, after all, a payback for giving positive recommendations.
Only if I was positively recommending something, if they were to take heed of that and follow that advice, and they realise, actually, yes, Keith was right, he's great, that's far more of an ego boost for me, because they've experienced it firsthand. They can say, yes, Keith was right. But if I were to say, don't go with that mortgage because it's awful, the customer service with that bank is terrifying, they will never know.
But there's still a challenge facing big brands to harness the power of positive recommendation, as well as minimising the effect of negative. And part of that challenge is about understanding where positive conversations are already happening and devising strategies for encouraging them learning from them and sharing them with a wider audience, all the while without dampening them in the process. It's encouraging to learn that positive conversations are happening more often than you might think, but it remains to be seen whether any other brand will do a Marmite and work with a small group of advocates who will spread the message of the brand enthusiastically. In the meantime, to come back to Oscar Wilde, perhaps most companies will just have to settle for being talked about.